I gave up 5 years of my life, after my parents begged me to take the blame for my brother's deadly crime and promised to make things right, but they never did. My name is Callahan Pierce Whitmore, and if you had asked anyone in my hometown of Brookdale, Ohio about me 5 years ago, they would have told you I was the dependable son, the quiet one, the brother who never caused trouble. They would have told you I loved my family more than myself. What they would not have told you is that I was the one they chose to sacrifice when everything fell apart. This is the story of how I lost my freedom, my heart, and my home, and how I made sure the truth destroyed the people who destroyed me. I grew up in a picture-perfect American family, or at least that was the lie we sold to the world. My father, Gregory Whitmore, owned a successful construction company. My mother, Eleanor, chaired every charity gala in town. My younger brother, Holden, was the golden child, star quarterback, charming, reckless, adored. And then there was me, Callahan, steady, responsible, invisible. I was the one who fixed things quietly, who stayed up late helping Holden with homework he never cared about, who took the blame when he dented Dad's truck, who kept family secrets buried where they belonged. The night everything changed started with a phone call at 2:17 a.m. My mother's voice was shaking. She told me to come to the lake house immediately. No questions, no delays. When I arrived, I found Holden pacing, blood on his shirt, his knuckles bruised, his eyes wild with panic. Dad stood by the fireplace holding a half-empty glass of bourbon, his expression colder than I had ever seen. Holden had been drinking, racing his car down Ridgeway Road with his friend Travis Monroe in the passenger seat. They crashed. The car flipped. Travis did not survive. Holden crawled out with barely a scratch. The police had not arrived yet. Dad had connections, powerful ones, and he had already started making calls. That was when he turned to me and said words that still echo in my nightmares. "Callahan, you're going to fix this." At first I did not understand. Then he explained. Holden had a future, scholarships, endorsements, a life that mattered. I was working a modest job at the company, single, quiet, replaceable. They would say I borrowed Holden's car, that I was driving drunk, that Travis' death was my fault. Dad's lawyer would handle everything. I would get a reduced sentence, maybe 5 years, maybe less for good behavior. The family would take care of me when I got out. Holden would be safe. I laughed at first because it sounded insane. Then my mother began to cry, telling me I was the stronger one, the better one, that this was what family does. Holden fell to his knees and grabbed my hands, swearing he would owe me his life. In that moment I felt trapped between love and betrayal, between loyalty and self-preservation. And like the fool I was, I chose them. I confessed. I stood in court and accepted responsibility for a crime that was not mine. I watched Travis' parents stare at me with hatred so raw it burned. I saw Holden sitting behind me pretending to sob. When the judge sentenced me to 5 years in state prison for vehicular manslaughter, my mother squeezed my shoulder and whispered, "We will make this right." They never did. Prison stripped me down to bone and truth. Letters from home grew shorter, colder, less frequent. Holden never visited. Dad sent money but not a single word of gratitude. Rumors reached me through old friends that Holden had transferred to a college out of state, that the accident had quietly disappeared from headlines, that my family told people I had always been troubled, unstable, a disappointment. They did not protect my name, they erased it. 3 years into my sentence, I received a letter that shattered whatever illusion I still held. It was anonymous, a single sheet of paper with printed screenshots. Bank transfers, large ones, from my father's company to Travis Monroe 2 weeks before the crash. A note at the bottom read, "Travis was blackmailing Holden. Ask yourself why." I felt the ground shift beneath me. During my remaining time inside, I started asking questions carefully, discreetly. I contacted an old coworker, Alistair Boone, one of the few people who still believed in me. He dug into company records and found what my father had tried to bury. Holden had been embezzling money from the company to cover gambling debts. Travis discovered it. Travis threatened to expose him. The crash was not just reckless driving. It was a fight in a speeding car. Witnesses had heard shouting before the vehicle swerved. And my family knew. They had not asked me to protect Holden from a mistake. They had asked me to bury a motive for murder. When I walked out of prison after 5 years, I did not go home. No one came to pick me up anyway. I rented a cheap apartment in Columbus under the radar and began building my case. I met with Travis' parents secretly and showed them the evidence I had gathered. The grief in their eyes turned into something else, something sharp and focused. They had money, influence, and a thirst for justice. Together we reopened the investigation. New evidence surfaced, financial trails, witness statements, inconsistencies in the original report. The district attorney agreed to review the case. My father's connections could not silence everything forever. The day the police showed up at my parents' mansion with a warrant was the first time in years I allowed myself to smile. Holden was arrested on charges of vehicular manslaughter and financial fraud. My father was charged with obstruction of justice and bribery. My mother, who had sworn she only wanted to protect her son, faced conspiracy charges. The media devoured the story. The Golden family exposed as corrupt and deceitful. And this time my name was cleared publicly. The court vacated my conviction, officially recognizing that I had been coerced and manipulated. I stood outside the courthouse while reporters shouted questions, and I told them the truth, not out of vengeance but because silence had nearly destroyed me. But revenge is complicated. It does not bring back lost years. It does not erase the nights I woke up choking on regret. It does not mend a heart that trusted too easily. The final twist came from my mother. She requested to see me before her trial. I almost refused, but curiosity won. When I entered the visiting room, she looked smaller, fragile. She confessed something I had never expected. The anonymous letter had come from her. Guilt had eaten at her for years, she said, and she could not watch me rot while Holden walked free. She claimed it was her way of making things right. I looked at her and realized something painful. Even her confession was selfish. She had not freed me when it mattered most. She had waited until guilt became unbearable. She wanted absolution, not justice. I stood up and told her I forgave her, not because she deserved it but because I deserved peace. Then I walked away without looking back. Holden was sentenced to 12 years. My father lost everything, his company, his reputation, his pride. The Whitmore name became synonymous with scandal. As for me, I changed it. I dropped Whitmore and kept Pierce, my middle name, the one no one in my family ever used. I started over in a different state, built a small consulting business, slowly, patiently, honestly. People sometimes ask if I regret taking the fall. I tell them regret is a luxury. What I gained was clarity. I learned that blood does not guarantee loyalty, that love without integrity is manipulation, that sometimes the person you have to save is yourself. I was betrayed, broken, erased. But in the end, I became the one thing my family never expected: free. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more stories.